as the saying goes, better late than never, right? And so while we are already 4 months into 2025 and this horoscope is much later than it should be, we still have quite a few transits coming up ahead in the year of 2025, and they're strongly going to affect you, Gemini. And so in today's video, I want to cover everything that you need to know that is upcoming in 2025 for you, Gemini. So this is your 2025 horoscope. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Isabel, your spiritual rebel friend, and today we are talking about Gemini's horoscope for 2025. So whether you are a Gemini sun, moon, or rising, this affects you. This is relevant for you. In today's video specifically, I'm going to cover how 2025 has already played out for Geminis, the major themes for Gemini in the rest of 2025, specific upcoming transits in 2025, and how they will affect Gemini, and how to utilize these transits for growth and manifestation. So if you are a Gemini sun, moon, or rising who wants to work with the transits to their benefit, whether that's for spiritual self-development, growth, or manifesting their desires, watch through to the end of this video where I'm going to share some of my top tips for Geminis to utilize the positive energy that is present in the stars. Before I dive in, before we get any further, be sure to book a reading in the link in the description below, where in 1 hour we can dive deep into any and everything regarding transits and your birth chart, as well as your unique personality type combination. So the Enneagram, Myers-Briggs, numerology, we can cover it all. Sky's the limit. Learn more about readings down in the link in the description box below and check out my other offerings. On the note of the description box below, if there is a specific transit that you're interested in, be sure to check out the timestamps down in the description box below that I almost always provide for all my videos so that you can jump ahead to specific segments that you are interested in. So first, let's recap Geminis. How has 2025 already played out for you? And while this could be information that I apologize may have been more helpful in advance, hopefully my monthly horoscopes have sufficed, and better late than never words. And so the beginning of 2025 has strongly accentuated for you your focus on likely your career and purpose and how these cross over, how your community meets your career and how your career meets your community, and how this in the end gives you a sense of authentic self and feeling like you have a place. But not only was your career and purpose and this vision you have for making an impact on the world potentially emphasized, there was also some big realizations probably for you around your home and family, as well as maybe some slowdowns in your finances. Now, why exactly do I say this? I want to break down the few key transits that were present. We're not going to go into all the sextiles and aspects that happened, but mainly the major transits that I considered were most impactful for all the signs, and especially for you, Gemini. One of which is that at the beginning of January, the North Node entered Pisces and the South Node entered Virgo, which is one of the most important transits for us all to note, as I've noticed, and most important for you. It emphasizes the idea that over the next 18 months from January of 25 until July of 2026, you are growing in your career. You are growing your recognition, and that means you need to release what no longer serves you in your home and family life. And this whole idea of releasing what is needed in your home and family life was accentuated in the month of March, specifically as we neared the 14th of March with the lunar eclipse we had in Virgo. It is likely that in the month of March, you felt like you were realizing all the negative, critical, selfless, or overgiving patterns you have in your home and family. This could have meant you're realizing how much your family feels like a draw on your energy. Or it could have been that you were focused too much on your material schedules and routines in your home life, and you weren't really getting to enjoy your home and place of living. This could also mean that you're considering moving and realizing, I do need to work towards moving. All this, though, revolved around the idea that in the end, you're feeling this intuitive call to move towards a more fulfilling career. But before you could fully move into your new career, there was a lot of assessment that needed to be done. And that was especially because we had Mercury and Venus both go retrograde in the sign of Pisces in the beginning of the year in I will put the dates over the screen exactly for this. I don't want to get too much into minute details because we want to focus on the future for you, Gemini. But you are assessing your values and reflecting on your career, how you are seen in your career, how you want to be seen, and the value that your career brings for you. However, again, while there's maybe an assessment of values in career, it probably felt like there was an overall, especially in March, a draw towards wrapping up and finishing unfinished business related to your community and purpose. Since July of 23, you have been trying to cultivate your sense of purpose and meaning, trying to find the place where you feel important and find the thing that makes you feel like you're making an impact. And at the end of March, specifically maybe around the 29th, and even now, maybe you finally hit the point where you are doing and living in alignment with what gives you a sense of purpose, finding your community, making an impact, owning your purpose, working towards purposeful work. And this has been very, very important for you. So the beginning of 2025 has been tainted, or the picture has been painted in a theme revolving around finding and living your purpose, doing the last final things you need to do here, as well as additionally assessing what is no longer serving you in your home and feeling potentially slowdowns in your finances. How have things felt, Gemini, so far in the beginning of the year with your finances, your self-worth as well? Because Mars has been retrograde from I think it was January 6th to February 23rd in the sign of Cancer. This caused a slowdown in your finances and your sense of self-worth. It may have felt like while you want to cultivate this new career and you're leaning into that at your core, you don't know how exactly money is going to play into that story. And that could have been very, very frustrating. And Mars is still transiting over ground that it has already covered. As of the 18th of April, though, this should speed things up. So this is technically will play into the future. This is already in your horoscope for the month of April, so I'm not going to touch too much on that. This video is meant to cover more macro scale transits that are going to be going on in the month or in the year of 2025. So that's where you have been, Gemini. Let me know if that resonated for you in the comments below. Now let's talk about where are you heading? What are the future transits that are going to be happening in 2025 and how they be affecting you? Starting off first and foremost with the major themes that are going to be presenting themselves for you, Gemini. I do want to recap as one quick note that in my personal interpretation, I suppose, as an astrologer, I find that the North Node transits end up being the main character. Every single transit that happens, every retrograde, direct aspect, it all comes back to the story of our natal North Node and the transiting North Node. The transiting North Node being where we are growing towards next. So over the next 18 months until July of 2026, Gemini, you are called to grow your emotional fulfillment in your career and making more of an emotional impact on people by cultivating your empathy, compassion, and spirituality. You are learning deep lessons in your career and what it means to be recognized. And these are themes that are going to be present throughout the month or throughout the year of 2025. So when it comes to what is the major theme for you, Gemini, I will say that it is cultivating what it means to be recognized, overcoming the fear of being seen in your career, developing your compassion, your empathy, your spirituality, and your understanding of others in a career setting. This also means finding more emotional fulfillment and harmony in your career, maybe being paid more or working less, but doing more impactful work. And this really plays into the recent sense of purpose that you've cultivated over the previous 18 months or year and a half, in other words. So the major theme for you is about cultivating your career, and with that, letting go of what no longer serves you in your home, your family, and your place of living to make space for these changes. Specifically, anything that is in your family that is critical, whether you being critical or them, or anything that is overly materialistic in your way of living, your home, your place of living, and materialistic patterns in your family. You're releasing what no longer serves you, that feels like a weight on you in your home and family and your place of living to make space for recognition, career, and success. So now with that major theme out of the way, let's talk about some upcoming transits in 2025 and how they will affect you, Gemini. Starting off, let's talk about Saturn. Saturn is going to be entering Aries on May 25th, and it will be here until July 13th, when it will then turn retrograde from July 13th to September 1st. Point being, Saturn enters Aries, and it has been hanging out in the end degrees of Pisces for quite some time now, which has also added to the picture, so to say, of you're desiring to grow your career and your recognition in your profession. But maybe with Saturn here, it may have felt like you're restricted in your abilities to find clarity on this topic, or restricted in your abilities to move towards this. When Saturn enters Aries, it joins Neptune here, which brings an aura of both ideology, but restriction. And so I will say this is discipline in our ideologies, in your sense of purpose. You have recently cultivated your sense of purpose and your community and the place you fit into in the world and why you are here. Now you are being influenced by the stars to add more discipline, structure, in alignment with your ideological beliefs in this area of life. So it can feel like, I now understand why I am here. This is my impact. This is my purpose. This is what I'm here to serve. This is what the mark I'm going to leave on the world. And here's the more ideological version of that I'm going to be embracing. Now, how can I uphold structure here? While Saturn is said to be oftentimes a detrimental planet, I see it as the planet of discipline. It gives us the strength and structure we need to achieve certain balance in our life and feel a sense of structure. And so you are adding structure to your community. You are adding structure to your sense of purpose with Saturn entering Aries. And that'll be, again, a theme that is present from May through September. When Saturn goes retrograde, you may be assessing these structures. So through July until July 13th, May 25th to July 13th, you're probably establishing structures, trying to figure out how you want to build structure in your physical life in your purpose. This could be, okay, I need to make this much time for community. I need to do this. I need to be this in my community. Here's how I'm going to practically, actually, physically do this. But on July 13th, when Saturn goes retrograde through September, you may be assessing these structures that you have established and asking yourself, do these really serve? So Saturn plays a role for you, Geminis, in 2025, but there's more happening here as well. Also, Saturn will retrograde back into Pisces, and this will bring back themes that were maybe present, we'll say, as of now, of the filming of this video on April 16th, because it'll be roughly hanging out in the same degrees. You're reassessing structures associated with your career. So from September 1st to November 27th, you may be questioning your biased rules you have around your career. How do you think you have to go about finding a new career? What are the structures you think you have to have in a career? Do you have to have a steady paycheck? This is how I see this playing out. This could also be more about what boundaries do you need to set in your career, because Saturn in Pisces has a lot to do with boundaries. Overall, Saturn doing movement in both Aries and Pisces for you means that there's positive establishing of structures in your community, purpose, and career, and both how you find fulfillment here and what you give here, what you give and receive in your community and career, but also an assessment and withdrawal of certain structures, saying this structure isn't serving me. Saturn is the god of time. It is the god of structure. It tells us how we try to basically, Saturn tells us what we perceive as the rules for life. It's like the unconscious handbook we have about certain areas of our life. And so with Saturn transiting Aries and Pisces for you, there's going to be both a theme of establishing rules here, but also redefining and breaking rules and getting rid of rules that are no longer serving you in your profession, recognition, career, purpose, and community, so you can gain more fulfillment here. So again, look to the key dates to know exactly when certain themes are coming up. Hopefully that clarifies enough for you, but that's enough on Saturn. There's also other things happening in the month, I keep saying in the month. That's how used to I am of talking about just monthly horoscopes. But there's also other things happening in 2025 that are heavily going to affect you, Gemini, in the positive as well, such as Jupiter entering Cancer. On June 9th, Jupiter enters the sign of Cancer. And so while in the beginning of the year, with Mars retrograde in this sign from January to February 23rd, you may have felt restricted in your finances and self-worth. Now Jupiter steps in to expand this area of life. So I do recommend, Geminis, Sun, Moon, and Rising, that you look back to January 6th, roughly, to February 23rd, the beginning of the year. What were you assessing in your self-worth and finances? What actions were you withdrawing? Were you feeling like, I don't need to work so hard? I need to not do this. I need to do this for my self-worth and sense of self-security. Really pay attention to what was going on in your self-worth and finances in the beginning of the year, because these are now topics you're going to be expanding on. Mars went retrograde in Cancer as a reminder to assess that what actions we take, specifically for you with your finances and self-worth, in alignment, meaning that you don't always have to do more to earn more. And it's most important for us to do things in alignment, not always just do more in general to get more of a result. This was an important introspection you needed, and it's coming back into play June 9th when Jupiter enters Cancer, causing you to expand your finances and your self-worth. And with that, Jupiter is not just our physical abundance and expansion, it is our spiritual abundance and expansion. So you may be having to expand your idea of what self-worth really means, expand your idea of what financial security really means, for the sake of having deeper spiritual wisdom, spiritual understanding, and receiving more abundance. Abundance is not just a physicality, it is a mindset. And so you are expanding your money mindset and your self-worth mindset, maybe even to the point of understanding what you are worthy of, what wealth you are worthy of. And the fact that this is in Cancer accentuates the idea that for you to expand your abundance, your self-worth and wealth, there is an emphasis or a need to focus on doing things and focusing on how you feel in the process, which very much goes hand in hand with the North Node being in Pisces in your 10th house, accentuating focusing on a career that feels good to you. Overall, there is a strong theme for you, Gemini, on focusing on feelings, focusing on doing things that nurture yourself so that you can nurture others and come from a truly giving place. So Mars being retrograde in Cancer, point being, tying into this Jupiter entering Cancer, really focuses on how do I act in alignment? How do I nurture myself in my actions? And how does that give me balance in my finances and self-worth? How can I spend money on things that make me feel good? And now how can I expand that? This is a multiplication energy here. So really assess focusing or really focus on doing things and being in a way that makes you emotionally feel good and feel nurtured to expand your finances. This is overall accentuated with Jupiter entering Cancer, great for your finances, great for your abundance, and works very well in alignment with the North Node being in Pisces in your career sector of your sky. Another major transit that happens in the year of 2025 that will heavily affect you, Geminis, to prep for is Uranus enters your sign on July 7th of 2025, where it will remain until November 7th of 2026. On November 7th, it will retrograde back into Taurus, I believe. And I'm a little off on my dates, but rough time periods, that's what you're looking at. Eventually, it will re-enter Gemini, where it will remain until 2033. So this is a taste tester, so to say, of the energy yet to come. And if you want to know what to expect with the Uranus transit in your sign, talk to a Taurus, sun, moon, or rising to know what they have been through over the last 7 years. Overall, Uranus can be a very scary transit to talk about because the words that often come up with Uranus is unexpected change. And I notice a lot of people, this strikes fear for them because we don't want something unexpected. The unknown is scary. But I want to go deeper into understanding and reminding that Uranus is the planet of unexpected change for the sake of innovation. Uranus is said to be the higher octave of Mercury. And so if Mercury is our habitual way of thinking, our natural way of thinking, Uranus is the way we can learn to think differently. It's like our higher mind, our reprogrammed mind. And so with Uranus transiting your sign, Gemini, starting in July, this is major for you because it means that you're going to be completely changing the way you think about yourself for roughly the next 7 years. You're entering a phase where you're giving yourself the opportunity to completely change who you are, to completely change how you see who you are. And this is something that all Geminis are going through. So this can be seen as more of a collective energy, but it may, over the next 7 years, mean that you will have lots of moments where you question, why do I hold on to this certain part of myself? Uranus overall is extremely positive, meant to be taken in a positive way, bringing unexpected change to your way of perceiving yourself and changing how you perceive what it means to be a Gemini in general. What does it mean to be sociable, curious, intellectual, capable? And with that as well, there may not only be unexpected change to your sense of self, but specifically put even unexpected changes to the way you move through the world and unexpected changes to how you perceive the self to step into a higher version of yourself. So Uranus entering Gemini July 7th, very big change in energies for you, taking you away from your unconscious mind, which can be very nice. Over the last 7 years, you have been with Uranus and Taurus trying to change your way of thinking about your unconscious beliefs, unconscious fears, doing a lot of inner work. And this takes the energy away from focusing on your inner work. And finally, the last major transit that I want to talk about for Geminis for their horoscope for 2025 is eclipse season in September. On September 7th and 21st, we will have eclipses in Pisces and in Virgo. The eclipse in Virgo is a new beginning, whereas the eclipse in Pisces is a closing of a cycle. So you can look back to, I believe, February 27th, I want to say, for when we had the new moon in Pisces, to know what you were initiating that was new changes here. And while it wasn't an eclipse, it does play into the story because every new moon goes out hand in hand with every full moon to open and close a 6-month cycle. And so this ties in heavily. You can also look to March for last eclipse season to get ideas of what themes may be resurfacing and also evolving, so to say. Eclipse season is major for us all, and for you Geminis, this revolves around bringing changes and destined events to your career, your profession, your recognition, as well as your home, family, and place of living. Since this is a new moon in Virgo, a new moon eclipse, this is oftentimes likely going to bring a destined change to your home and family. This could simply be an internal journey of saying, that's it, I need to move, I need to make this distance with family, I need to stop doing this thing with family. Or it could be a physical change saying that this is actually happening. So it can be internal or external, maybe a realization, maybe something physical. But overall, September is going to be a very big month for us all. And for you, this brings destined changes, life-changing events, and internal clarity and realizations around what you need to live in alignment with your highest self in your career and profession, maybe even moving towards and receiving a new reward in your career and profession, something that you've been working on since February. Or this could be a home change. What I could potentially see, and I'm going to sound like a bit of a stereotypical astrologer here by kind of predicting, which I don't like to do overall, but how I could see this playing out as an example for you Geminis is receiving a new career opportunity that pushes you to be more empathetic, compassionate, and is in alignment with your highest self, a new job opportunity that requires you to move. That is how this energy could play out because there's a culmination in a fulfillment, but potentially also releasing in regards to your career and profession and in a way that's in alignment with your highest growth. So something aligning there. But also the new moon in Virgo saying new beginning with your home and family, new beginning with your place of living, new beginning with your family members. So September is going to be a really important event. So to give you that more specific for details, and I will have videos coming out in September about the eclipses specifically, but September 7th, we will have the full moon total lunar eclipse in Pisces at 15 degrees of Pisces. And then on September 21st, we will have the new moon partial solar eclipse in Virgo at 29 degrees of Virgo, just barely in Virgo. So those are the 2 dates for you and the details for that. All Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising, the year of 2025 brings an expansion to your finances and self-worth, having you redefine your sense of self so that you can come from more of a giving place and live your purpose in your career and finding a home that is more fulfilling to you so that you can make more of an impact on the world. I really think this is an extremely spiritual time for Geminis to really discover what it means to come from a giving place, as oftentimes they talk about in the Kabbalah, which I've been studying more and more, this idea of coming from a giving place and wanting to receive for the sake of sharing. I think this is a concept Geminis are really coming to embody more by redefining their sense of self, awakening their higher mind, owning their self-worth, tapping into their emotional fulfillment, and aligning with a career path that serves them by letting go of the familial patterns that no longer serve. So with all that in mind, Geminis, what do I recommend? What tips would I give to you to utilize this energy to your benefit in the year of 2025? Tips that I will recommend to Geminis is to first and foremost focus on the North Node being in Pisces and South Node in Virgo. With the North Node in Pisces, the question to ask yourself is, what would it be like to focus more on how I make people feel in my career rather than what I do? What if by being more seen, I can truly make more of an impact? Overall, the North Node being transiting the 10th house for people accentuates the idea of what are your fears around being seen and what do you want to be recognized for? Overall, as a Gemini, with Pisces being your 10th house, there's an accentuation that you are best recognized for how you make people feel, for your empathy and your compassion, which is very counterintuitive to many natural Gemini's energies, whether Gemini is your sun, moon, or rising. You naturally want to be intellectual and provide information. But with the North Node transiting Pisces in your 10th house, there's a focus on how do I make people feel? And how can my own feelings inspire others? What if the most valuable thing I can give is my expression of inspiration? So really asking yourself the key question of what if I can make more of an impact by focusing on how I make people feel and how I feel rather than what I do. Secondly, with the South Node being in Virgo, you are needing to release something that no longer serves you in your home, family, and place of living. So what materialistic, selfless, overly giving, or critical patterns do I hold in my home, my family, and my place of living that are no longer serving me? Are you focusing too much on your physical routines rather than your emotional body, so to say, in your place of living? Is your place of living technically checking all the boxes for what you'd want for fulfillment, but it doesn't feel fulfilling? Are you spending too much time at home? Are you spending too much time on family? Are you prioritizing family too much for the sake of selflessness, but you're really not making an impact at your core and you intuitively know this? Assess your home and family and what no longer needs to serve you here. That's what I recommend for you. Tip number 2. And finally, number 3, I will touch on is with Jupiter entering Cancer rather than talking about Uranus and Gemini, since this is such a long-term transit. With Jupiter entering Cancer, I want to focus on this one more. What would it mean to, or not, rephrase that question. How can I expand my self-worth simply by embodying how I feel more? I think this is the simple yet deep spiritual lesson that is present for a Gemini in all of 2025 and starting on June 9th, is asking yourself this question of how can I focus on feeling what I feel and moving through life based on how I feel and nurturing how I feel? And how could the very act of prioritizing my feeling world bring me more self-worth and also more financial abundance? This really is about embracing the law of attraction by becoming an emotional, energetic magnet for your desires. So Geminis, let me know down in the comments below, did you appreciate this horoscope? Did this horoscope resonate for you? Are you looking forward to the upcoming months in 2025? Have you already felt the energy that has been present for you in 2025? Did this resonate for you? Do you have more questions? What transits did I not talk about that you are curious to know more about? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let me know if Gemini is your sun, your moon, your rising, and what your other sun, moon, and rising placements are, so I can create a horoscope for you off of that if I have not yet already. I have a whole video playlist of my 2025 horoscopes that you can check out to see if I have your horoscope published for your sun, moon, and rising. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Your feedback is always appreciated. And be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and stay tuned for more videos breaking down the stars and more. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Sincerely hope you enjoyed. Once again, my name is Isabel, and from my heart to yours, namaste.